1 point with Arnold Gamboa. 1 point with Arnold Gamboa. 1 point with Arnold Gamboa.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to One Point with Kuya Arnold. Yes, we're going to rebrand this channel eventually. But this is One Point with Kuya Arnold, and this is your Kuya Arnold, Arnold Gamboa. And I hope that you are having a good day. This towards the end of the day. I normally stream. For some of you who know this stream for a while now, I've been doing this every Saturday for the past 3 months, every Saturday at 7 o'clock. And I know it's going to be a drastic change, so some of you, maybe you're going to catch this. For those of you who are normally watching me on Saturday, 7 o'clock, it's going to be a drastic change for you. So maybe you can watch this and skip. You can watch this on replay. In fact, if you're watching this on replay, you can just skip to the topic that we are going to be talking about later on. But if you are watching me live, welcome to the brand new One Point with Kuya Arnold. And we're going to do this every Tuesday at 5:30 in the afternoon. And hopefully, if my schedule permits, I can also do this on a Friday afternoon. Same time, around 5:30 before I sleep. Maaga ako natutulog eh. But so, my hope is that by doing this on a weekday, we can expand our topic of discussion. We can talk about not just, of course, the basis of everything that we're going to be doing is about our faith, how this can provide us hope. Teka muna, sabi ni Chad, nag-echo? Echo. Testing mo natin ha. Thank you, Chad ha. Nag-echo ba? Malakas? Tines.
One point.
Sandali ha, testing natin ha. Sound check.
One point.
Number one. Okay na? Sound off. Chad, sound off. Let's do this on the fly. Para makakasama to sa typical uh, uh, takbo ng everyday life mo. But hopefully I'll be able to do this every Tuesday or maybe depending on my schedule, I might also do this on Friday. But anyway, today we're going to talk about a very interesting. Sige, sige, sige. Ayusin natin ha. O yan, manageable na yan. Anyway, thank you ha. Thank you for sticking with me. Yan. Um,
1 point. 1 point. 1 point. 1 point with Arnold Gamboa. 1 point. 1 point. 1 point. 1 point with Arnold Gamboa. 1 point. 1 point. 1 point. 1 point with Arnold Gamboa. 1 point.
yun, ito. Ano na yan? Pwede na yan. Okay, so, thank you Chad for letting me know. Sana maayos na anyway, recording naman to eh. Okay, so we are going to talk about a lot of things today. In fact, just one thing, but the very important topic. But if you have some questions, if you have some thoughts, as we are talking about this topic today, let me know. Let me know so that we will be able to answer or see if we can talk about this some more. All right, so here we go.
1 point. 1 point. 1 point. 1 point with Arnold Gamboa.
Yes, Roddy and Chad, thank you for letting me know. Kanina kasi may problema yung OBS ko eh. This is not the ideal setup, but I'll check that out later on. Anyway, so let's talk about this very controversial topic. And the reason why I'm calling this controversial is because a lot of friends of mine will disagree with me, and that's fine. And if you are watching this live on replay, you can disagree with me, and that's just fine. Just let me know so we can talk about that. All right? So ito naman, we were building a community. We're trying to figure out the best way to live life, to have hope, and to experience the love of God. Now let's talk about the vaccines. Let me start with quoting this Bible verse, and we base our dito sa 1 point. What I'm going to be suggesting is, and we're going to be doing, is try to make use of the Bible as a basis of the things that we are talking about, and the basis of our hope, the basis of our love for God, and the basis of our faith. This is what Philippians chapter 2 verse 4 said. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Let each of you, ito yun, chapter 2 verse 4, let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Now, basically what Paul was saying is this, no? And he's talking about, he's primarily speaking to the church in Philippi. So, there's a specific group of people that he's talking to in this particular verse. He's saying, you know what? You are part of a community, and you don't just think about the good for yourself. You think about the good for others too, because you are interconnected with one another, and you love one another, you serve one another, and you look each other's look for each other's back. You make sure that each one of you are doing the best for each other. Magtulong-tulungan kayo. Magsama-sama kayo. Kasi nasa isang komunidad lang lamang kayo. You're in a community of faith. Now, while this verse is primarily given to a church, no, in Philippi, let's try to be liberal and try to make use of this as also an imaginary advice, a letter from Paul to our community, or to not just within your own community right now, but also to our nation as general. Paul might be telling us right now, you know what? You look for each other. You let each other look not only to your own interest, but also the interest of others within your community, within your vicinity, within your country. Look for each other. Let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also to the interest of others. I would argue that this virus that all of us, this pandemic that every one of us are experiencing right now, is a community effort. We can only solve this problem if we are going to be doing this and solving this as a community. Because this virus is transmitted from one person to another, and if one person contracts the virus, it passes on to another. And so the best way for us to mitigate the effects of the virus and to solve this problem is to band together as a community and help each other up, and look for each other's interest, not just for your own personal interest. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the solution to this pandemic. In fact, there's a very good illustration that I saw. There's a very good illustration that I saw a few months ago. Parang domino effect. Pero this time around, pinakita niya yung match na to, no? So everyone has the virus, but if just one will be eliminated from the whole system or process of contracting the virus and passing the virus from one person to another, the rest of the community will be spared, and then eventually the whole problem will be fixed, no? So isa lang doon sa proseso na yan, sa line na yan, ang mag-decide na okay, I'm going to do my best to help the community. So the virus stops, no, from being transferred from one person to another. So it can be you within your family, within your household. If you decided, yeah, I'm going to take care of myself, I'm going to do my best not to contract the virus so that I wouldn't be able to pass on this virus to my family members. That could be the solution. So for instance, I have my folks, my parents who are elderlies. They are living in Nueva Ecija, and so normally I would go and visit them every month, once a month, or every 2 months. But since the pandemic started, I only visited them once, and that is when my younger brother got married. And the reason for that is I'm making that as an intentional way for me to make sure that if I do have the virus, I wouldn't be able to pass it on to them. But according to the experts, the people that are wiser than us, wiser than me, those who studied this whole thing, no, one of the best ways, or one of the fastest way to mitigate or to solve this pandemic is through vaccines. Right? That's the best way, according to them, to mitigate this problem. In fact, ito yung nagiging problema natin ngayon. The longer the virus stays in our communities, the harder it is for us to solve this problem. The reason for that is that this virus is a living creature in itself. It mutates. It creates its own versions of the of itself, and so the more versions, the more tawag dito, the more in fact, ito yung sinasabi dito. Sabi niya dito, there's one post on Facebook, no, this is Twitter. Sabi niya, the virus keeps mutating. That's why we all need to get vaccinated ASAP. Because if we don't, the virus will keep getting ahead of us. We can choose a preferred vaccine later on. Right now, it's more important to create a collective force field. So what he's saying is this, very simple. If we don't solve this virus problem soon, it will mutate and mutate to the point that we can't control that anymore. And it will be a bigger problem for all of us. It keeps mutating and mutating and mutating. So, according to the experts, the solution is to get vaccinated right away. Now, it's just recently, in fact, May, around second week of May, there was or third week of May, there was a survey conducted amongst Filipinos that says about 30% only of Filipinos are willing to get vaccinated. Only 30% of Filipinos are willing to get vaccinated. Sabi dito, only 3 out of 10 adults, 3 out of 10 adult Filipinos willing to get vaccinated months into the rollout. I think the vaccination started March this year, and then we're few months into the vaccination, and only 3 out of 10 Filipinos are willing to get vaccinated. Wow! Unang narinig ko, sabi ko, hindi yata totoo to. Mukha yatang, it's, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's really correct, a correct assumption, because it's ridiculously low. Only 3% out of 10, 30% of Filipinos are willing to get vaccinated. Para yatang hindi makatotohanan, di ba? Until I talk to actual people. Until I talk to friends, to my very own friends. Okay? Yung mga kaibigan ko, kinausap ko na rin. Nag-survey ako sa internet, and my internet friends, and some of them responded. And I also talked to several of my offline friends, meaning the friends that I can really talk to personally. And I want to understand the problem. I realized that the survey has some truth in it. Totoo yata yung survey. Totoo. Kasi, ang dami ko nakausap, ang dami nagsasabi sa kanila, they don't want to get vaccinated. They don't want to get vaccinated. And there are several reasons why people doesn't want to get vaccinated. There are several reasons. Now, I categorize these reasons, to mga reasons to get vaccinated, into 2 different categories. Okay? The first one is what I call the ridiculous concerns. No, merong mga ayaw mag-vaccinate because of some ridiculous reasons. Ridiculous concerns. Number 1, yung mga naniniwala sa conspiracy theories. Yung mga nagsasabi na itong virus na to, galing lang to kay Bill Gates. Si Bill Gates daw, meron ba ako nabasa na conspiracy theory, ito daw, vaccine na to, ito daw ay, tawag dito, you can there's a chip that is going to be planted in yourself so that you can be traced wherever you go. Yan sabi. Conspiracy theory. Ridiculous. I can tell you, don't believe in all of this. All you need to do is to read up. If you read a ridiculous, first and foremost, if it sounds ridiculous, it might be real. It might be ridiculous. It might not be true. But if you have read something that's out of the ordinary, try to read up and check whether some people also has talked about that conspiracy theory. Para balanse naman. Wag kayo kagad maniniwala sa fake news. Huwag kayo kagad maniniwala sa fake news. So that's one, yung conspiracy theory. Number two, meron mga religious or biblical theories sila na ginagawa. Alam mo, mga Kristiyano, alam ko tong sistema na to kasi galing ako dito eh. Yung 666. Yung iba naniniwala na yun daw ilalagay sa sayo na vaccine, ito daw yung mark of the beast. 666. Huwag kayo, hindi kayo naniniwala, i-type nyo lang sa Google. Nakikita kayo may mga placards para ganyan. 666 daw yung i-ano sa'yo, yung mark of the beast daw, yung i-inject sa'yo na vaccine. That's ridiculous. Hindi totoo yan. Huwag kayong maniwala dyan. Ridiculous concern. So that's the first classification of people that I talk to. Literal people ha, hindi to talagang nanguhula lang ako. Talagang nakakausap ako ng mga tao na ganun. Number one, yung ridiculous concerns. Yung second classification of people who doesn't want to get vaccinated are those that have valid concerns. May mga valid concerns talaga sila. So let me explain. I have some friends that do not believe in the vaccines itself. Meaning, I have a friend that has not received any vaccination at all. His family members, his kids, from being a baby up to right now, mga matatanda na yung mga anak nila, mga dalagat binata na. Pero they have not received a single shot of vaccine. Walang flu vaccine, walang malaria vaccine, etc., etc. Because according to him, particularly with this friend of mine, I know there's a lot of people who also believe this way. Our body has its own way of fighting these viruses, and they'd like to have their body respond to the virus in the more natural way. And we cannot blame them to have that kind of belief, no? And we can honor, we can respect that. I respect that because that's his belief system, and it may have even some credence to it. It could have some real, it can be real in itself as far as their belief system is concerned. And I wouldn't dare correct him. I wouldn't dare tell him that what his belief is wrong, because I truly believe that if you think that your body can, you can take care of your body and you can have a strong immune system, baka tama naman yung kakayanin talaga ng katawan natin. So that's one classification ng yung mga may valid concerns. Yung pangalawa naman, sa may valid concern, they believe in vaccines. They might have taken flu shots in the past, or polio vaccines, or whatever type of vaccines growing up, or even today. But their only concern is that, according to them, this vaccine, this vaccines that we have right now, for COVID-19, it's too early for us to take it as humans. Meaning, according to them, according to histories, yung mga vaccines are tested through the years before it could be said that there's no human side effect that can be felt, no? So according to them, it's not worth the risk. So there are some people, in fact, some of my friends are saying that the vaccine might have an adverse effect to human beings in a few years' time. And so they're saying, I don't want to get the vaccine because I don't want to take the risk because this is something that might cause me to suffer eventually. Sabi nila. So that's another valid concern, and I respect that kasi yun yung kanilang paniniwala. Ang kanilang paniniwala, baka kasi magka-problema daw sa vaccine eventually and they don't want to get vaccinated right now. Okay? So yun ang kanilang that's the reason. In fact, based dun sa mga nakausap ko, ito yung pinaka prevalent right now. Ito yung pinaka sikat na reason why people doesn't want to get vaccinated. Okay? Now, there are two opposing forces. No? There are two opposing sides in this story. The first one is the group of people who wants to get their lives back as soon as possible. There are people who wants to go back to normal. They want to go to church as usual. They want to watch basketball in Araneta. Kaya walang PBA ngayon kasi dahil sa pandemic. And my son and I, we would normally go to Araneta to watch basketball. And that's a fun activity for me and my son. And some of them, they want to play basketball as a group, not just individually. I would normally do drills right now. But it's fun. It's less fun to just play basketball yourself. But it's more fun to have this physical activity with a group, di ba? Some people would like to go and watch movies, and do all those fun activities with their families and friends. Me and my wife, we love watching movies, and of course we know that movies right now, theaters are shut down because of the pandemic. They want to dine in with friends without the fear of getting the virus. They want to dine in with friends without the mask so that they can have a more joyful communication and joyful way of conversing with friends, because for most people, friendships, they are very important aspect of your life, no? Some people would like to go back to their offices. Kasi nabobore na rin. Although yung iba nag-enjoy naman sa work from home, pero iba gusto na nilang bumalik sa kanilang mga offices. They want to start attending seminars and be gathered in a big stadium and enjoy the beauty of seeing people around and enjoy life as a whole. They want to go back to that kind of situation in their life. Now, the problem though is that according to experts, for us to be able to do that is to have what they call herd immunity. I don't have time to talk about herd immunity, what herd immunity is all about. I'm even not qualified to even talk about this. I'm talking about this from the perspective of a layman, of a person who is just like you, who is just the common tao, no? But sabi nila, 70% of the population needs to be vaccinated to get herd immunity, and then by then, the virus will be mitigated, the virus is done. But if you don't want to get vaccinated, we are not going to get that percentage right away. So, paano yung sa una, they want to get their lives back, Pero on the other hand, some people, again with valid concerns, they don't want to get vaccinated. Which I guess, I respect that. Again, nandun ulit ako sa point na I'm respecting it. I will not force you to do it because that's your belief. You don't want to get the virus to get the vaccine for fear of adverse effect in the future. On one hand, you want your life back. On the other hand, you don't want to get vaccinated. Some people doesn't want to get vaccinated. Paano natin ma-reconcile yan? There's a tension. No? There's a tension that needs to be that's being seen in this whole process. Now, sabi ng paboritong author, si Andy Stanley, there are some tensions that you don't need to resolve. They just need to be managed. May mga tension sa buhay natin na you don't need to resolve. So, wag natin pag-awayin yung dalawang side na yan. We can only try to manage the tension. Okay? So, I was thinking about this. In fact, this weekend, I've sincerely talked to several people, my friends, who has this belief of not wanting to get the virus, not wanting to get the vaccine because of fear of adverse effect, not now, but in the future. So I was thinking, I was processing the information. Merong ganitong klaseng tension. How can we manage the tension? So here's my proposal. Meron akong proposal. In fact, bago yung proposal ko, yung okay. Yeah. So I have a proposal to make. Yung proposal ko is this. How about we implement what we call the vaccine pass. We implement a vaccine pass. Other countries would call it vaccine passport. Vaccine passports. That means parang ganito. If you want to go to the movies, you need to be vaccinated. You need to be fully vaccinated. Because according to the experts, if vaccines work, if there's truth that the vaccines work, it will be less, the transmission of virus will be even from 0% to very little percent. The transmission is very low. Transmission percentage is going to be low. If you want to attend seminars in public, if you want to attend sporting events, if you want to even play basketball with your friends, you need to have a vaccination pass. You need to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated. Okay? So, ang mangyayari niyan, those who will be able to live the kind of life that we had before are those that are taking the risks, because there's really a risk that needs to be taken. No, if you take the risk of getting vaccinated, you get to enjoy the life of those who are the normal kind of life that you once had before. Now, for those who don't want to get vaccinated, obviously what will happen is they wouldn't have the vaccine pass and wouldn't be able to watch movies together. They wouldn't be able to get inside an enclosed crowded place like a coliseum, sporting events. Because we're not being rude to them. We're just also being careful for their sake, because based on the experts' opinions, if you are not vaccinated, that's why you need to stay at home. You need to get you will be able to get the virus easily as compared to others who are already vaccinated. Now, in fairness to some people who don't want to get vaccinated, they're cool with that because some people, they're just fine with staying at home. Mayroong mga personalities na gano'n, they just enjoy being at home and they don't want to get to the crowded places so that their chances of getting the virus is very small. Meron mga ganun tao, and I know a lot of people who can live that way. But for others who would want to go out there, be with others, with people, and be in an enclosed location, and live the kind of life that they had before, they can have the vaccine pass. All right? So I think that's a fair suggestion. In fact, that's not a revolutionary suggestion. This is being implemented in the U.S. right now. In for those of you who are watching the current NBA season, they have implemented this in the NBA. Yung Madison Square Garden during the New York Knicks versus ano ba yan? Knicks versus the Atlanta Hawks game series. Madison Square Garden announced that they will try to fill the 20,000 capacity stadium with about 14,000 people, but for them to do that, the only people they'll be accepting are those who are fully vaccinated. And if you're going to watch the NBA, one of the NBA games nowadays, it's ongoing right now, you can see the beauty of this. Kasi ang dami na kumpleto na. Thousands of people enjoying the game in stadiums just like what we have before. The US is now implementing this. And there are some suggestions here in the country, in the Philippines, to actually implement what this vaccination pass. To what extent, we don't know. In fact, one suggestion was to have the vaccination pass for local travels, meaning if you are fully vaccinated and you want to go to Boracay, or if you want to spend time with your family outside of Metro Manila, you are free to do it if you have the vaccine pass. I know for some it's not it's not, you know, it's not fair, we can call it that way, but that's what we can all have at this point. The vaccine pass will allow those who get vaccinated to start living the life they had before while they take the risks for everyone else. Let's call it as it is. Okay? Let's call it as it is. It might be, well, the harsh words could be guinea pigs. If you're willing to become guinea pigs, if you want to take the risk, you get to live the life that you want today. That's and if if something happens in the future, that's the kind of risk that you had to take eventually. All right? So that's my suggestion. I am personally going to take the vaccine, and I'm so happy to see some of my friends taking the vaccine. In fact, a friend of mine from church just this afternoon, sabi niya, Kuya Arnold, I took the plunge. Nagpa-vaccine na siya. Pfizer, yung kanya nakuha. Ang galing, ha? Pfizer nakuha niya. And that's a great decision as far as I'm concerned. Because we want to get as many people to be vaccinated as possible. Again, if you don't want to get vaccinated, I honor that, I respect that. But for those who want to get vaccinated, we want as many as possible to get vaccinated so that we can live a normal life as soon as we can. I'm going to get my own vaccine when my time comes. And this is what I call even in businesses, we have what we call ano we take calculated risks. Ito yung mga sinasabi natin na calculated risks. And I am taking the calculated risk. There's risk involved, but I think the risk overpowers the potential danger that is out there in the future. And so, yeah, in fact, this is what I'd like to share with you. A friend of mine, he's a pastor. Well, I haven't really. I hope that we can. I can meet this friend of mine in the future. Si Pastor Manric. Pastor Manric, sana I took this post from you, ha. Tag kita dito pag pinost ko na sa Facebook para makita mo. Sabi ni Pastor Mans, madalas nating sabihin na dapat ipairal both ang faith and wisdom. 'Di ba? Yun naman talaga sinasabi natin. We want to exercise our faith. We want also to exercise wisdom. Para sa akin, yung magpabakuna ay both an act of wisdom and faith. Wisdom kasi kailangan natin siya to achieve herd immunity. Faith kasi kung may mga takot o alinlangan tayo, dito papasok yung tiwala at pananampalataya natin kay Jesus. Ang ganda nun, di ba? It's very reasonable. Faith and wisdom. Kaya, magpabakuna kayo mga bebe. Siguro, this is how he talks to his, his flock. It's both faith and wisdom, exercising both faith and wisdom. We exercise wisdom because this will help the whole entire community. No, this will help us achieve herd immunity, and when we achieve herd immunity, yun yung makikita natin sa Bible na sabi, let each of you look not only to his own interest but also to the interest of others. Yun yung makikita natin. And so, at the same time, this is also an act of faith kasi kung may takot man tayo sa vaccine, dito na papasok yung faith natin na mangyayari sa atin in the future because we believe that our lives are not in our hands. Our lives are in the hands of the Almighty. We can sleep at night secured that, and we believe that God's hand is with us. So that's my take. Yan yung one point message this afternoon.
1 point with Arnold Gamboa.
Merong mga nandyan naka-online na ngayon. Thank you Ate Ruth. Again, buti nasundan. Nagdat si Ate Ruth, sorry nagising pa si Ate Ruth. Of course, my mom is here. Julina, hi Julina, yung t-shirt na papadala ko, nandyan papadala ko yan in the future. Si Roddy is also here. Yung audio ko kanina, tinulungan nila ako sa audio ko na may problema. Hanggang ngayon may problema pa. I'm going to fix that up eventually later on. So thank you guys for being here today. Let's continue with the conversation. If you have some comments about what I've talked about today, if you have some comments about vaccines, and if you don't agree with what I've said, just place your comments in the comment box below, and let's chat. Let's have conversation. And my hope is that for some of you, this could be a way. In fact, this is my contribution to the entire problem of vaccine hesitancy. At least sana because of this small conversation that we are having right now, a lot of people will eventually have their minds fixed and be able to not have their minds fixed, have their minds be convinced by this understanding. All right. So thank you guys. See you again next week as we talk about a lot of things. It could be Friday. We'll see. Okay. Thank you guys for being here today.
1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point with Arnold Gamboa.